Hello, happy Wednesday. Week 8. I don't know how to title this one other than to say the audition is the work. And I remember this was the idea that was needling me last week that I really wanted to talk about last week, but then I scooted something ahead of that. And there's a reason for that because I watched this clip of Michael Keaton talking about working on auditions, and I was like, that is what I cannot put into words. He just did that for me. So last week would have missed this whole element. I will include the clip in my stories of Michael Keaton talking about the audition being the work. And I've also been trying to think about how to frame this for people who aren't visual artists or performing artists, people that are starting a business from scratch. Like, I can teach at a school which already provides me with my students, right? But if I go out on my own foot and teach for myself and have my own miniature school, which I do. I have a little mini art school for young children. That's basically kind of starting from scratch. You're not guaranteed any students. Obviously, if you're hired, by the New York Ballet Company, your audience is not up to you. It's up to the business itself. And so you're basically guaranteed an audience. But if you're going out there trying to do performing arts and trying to get your foot in the door, there are going to be days where you don't have an audience, correct? And it's just going to be you and maybe, hopefully, a friend or some people who are supporting you as you launch in this new endeavor, right? So what Michael Keaton was talking about was that he looked at he realized that he was going about auditions wrong. Instead of looking at auditions as an opportunity to possibly get a job, he looked at auditions as actually the work. I'm going to work. It's part of what we do. And I think we as a society get hung up on, how is this generating income? How is this becoming productive? And there is a reality about income, and there is a reality about needing to be productive. But if you're going to start something from scratch, you also have to commit time that doesn't pay out. It's a lot of, what do they call it? Sweat. What do they call it? Sweat equity? I think that's what they call it. I don't remember. And I think about ZZ Top. And I don't know how I know this story or where I referenced it. So sorry, but I think there was a documentary or something. And I hope it was ZZ Top. I think it was ZZ Top. When they started performing, they had one guy who was just a raging fan. And sometimes he would be the only person at the bar that they were playing at or whatever. But the guy would be totally into it. And they just said, we're just going to play our hearts out for this guy. We're going to give this guy the best show ever. And that's my point here, is that it's putting on the best show ever, regardless of who is supposed to come, plans on coming. If you have any idea that, if you don't have an idea of who's coming, if there is no one, you can use it as an opportunity to practice. And I want to say that again. If no one shows up, it's a dress rehearsal. It's a perfect opportunity to practice. And I needed a lot of practice, and I still do, but I'm getting so much better. And what I found is, when I have exhibits or shows or fairs, or I feel like I've done all of it. Or I should say elements of all of it. Yeah, that sounds better. I mean, I've opened my home and had an art show. I've had coffee shop shows. I've had gallery shows. Anything. I'm just trying to think. There's so many ways to get your foot in the door or just stay active in whatever art you're doing or business you're starting. You know, when I started teaching, I would do a Saturday morning class at a coffee shop. That's how I would, market. So that doesn't mean that anyone needs to participate, but I'm putting energy and putting sweat equity into my business that I want to start or that I'm starting. Oh, I'm so conscious of the time. I just don't like this. All right. So for me, and I've been doing this for 18 years, showing my art, I can honestly look back and say, I stood there and nothing happened. Whether it's for 3 hours or it's for a Saturday and a Sunday, I had to stand there and be super uncomfortable and stand there with my work and be so uncomfortable. I feel like I'm gonna shake out of my skin. It was so hard for me. I did not notice that I didn't get nervous until 2016. And after a show, I was like, oh, that was just regular. Like I had to have so many years of practice standing with my work. So many years. And for me, in my history of 18 years, it's been like almost all hit or all miss. And what I mean, and a pretty much equals of both. Nobody comes, or you can change it. Nobody buys, everybody buys. It's just, and it could be nobody buys. It could be like several events in a row, and then all of a sudden there's an event and everybody buys. It's really been like that for me. Nobody, everybody. Now, if you're doing this for years and years and years and years, and nobody's enrolling or nobody's, participating or nobody's purchasing or whatever, then it's maybe something to reevaluate. But I was given the advice to not really evaluate for 5 years and to put everything I had into it for 5 years. And that really helped me when I was feeling like I was going crazy. Like, is this really working? Why am I doing this? And the thing is that I'm going to do it anyway because I love it. I may have to make my living somewhere else. There's that reality for sure. And like I've said in other videos, I've supported these endeavors that I have now in other ways, in other means outside of them since about 6 years ago. So, yeah. And so looking at the audition being the work and not evaluating the audition itself, just showing up for the audition. So show up for the audition, see it as your work, use it as a time to practice. I needed so much practice standing and being comfortable. I want to be comfortable whether I have sales or not. I know that for a fact because sales or not sales are just part of life. And I want to stay even through that. And I've proved that I've been able to do that since about 2016. And I want to I just want to, and I understand now why showing up for the audition is so important. So, another thing is you get an audition. Some people don't. Whether you set up your own audition, you create your own, like me having a class at a coffee shop, or somebody inviting you to participate in something, you have an audition, and that's a celebration. So with that, that's week 8. Wow, I think I'm going to do 10 weeks, and then I'm going to reevaluate. Okay, happy Wednesday.